Hey, I'm Mur, and I just achieved the highest rank in Liar's Bar. I saw my favorite YouTuber Markiplier playing this new game called Liar's Bar and decided to give it a try with some friends. And I quickly learned that not only was it fun...
No, it's not though, because you have to think about it, right?
the boys just...
There's
Yeah, and if you start yapping on about the statistics of the two...
No, there's more than 6 things out there. You have 2 Jokers, you have the Devil's Card. Like, there's so many options out there that it's
Bull
not
the
just
philosopher
the
over here.
You need to worry about.
But I was kind of good at it.
I think I'm kind of starting to get it with you, you know?
Wild. Absolutely insane.
Then I saw they had a ranking system, so then I had a thought. What if I got really good at this game and made a super sick video on how I became the best player? So that's what I did.
Winner, pig dinner.
If you aren't familiar with Liar's Bar, it's a 4-player card game mixed with Russian roulette called Liar's Deck. How it works is everyone gets 5 cards from the deck, for a total of 20 cards. Each round, the game chooses either aces, queens, or king's table. You have to play whichever card the table is. So if it's queen's table, then you have to play queens. If you don't have a queen in your hand, then you have to bluff and hope that no one calls you out. There are a total of 8 queens spread across everyone's hands. So if 3 people play 3 cards each, then you know that someone is lying. If it's a queen's table and you play a queen, and the person next to you calls you a liar, then you flip over the card you played. If you didn't lie and played a queen, then the person who called you out loses and has to play Russian roulette, meaning they hold a pew-pew to their head and pull the trigger. The catch is, there's only 1 bullet in each player's gun, and there are 6 shots, so there's a 1 in 6 chance that pulling the trigger kills you, so you want to be careful who you call out. If you bluff and get called out on it, then you put the gun to your own head. It sounds complicated, but it's really not. It might sound like this game is just pure luck, and a lot of it is, but there are ways to rig the odds in your favor. I have played countless hours and thought of many strategies, but most of the strategies I could think of all related to gaslighting and tricking your opponents with words. And that sometimes works, but only when everyone else is using a mic. And even then, I'm not a great actor, so that method wasn't really reliable enough. So since verbal gaslighting and manipulative strategies weren't always going to work, I decided I would just have to rely on statistics. I first figured out that you just need to win 1 out of every 4 games you play in order to gain points towards ranking up. See, every match costs you 50 points, and every win grants you 200 points. So if you lose 3 games and win 1, then you lose 150 points and gain 200 for a net profit of 50 points. But this strategy is very slow. For if you do win 1 out of every 4 games, then that means you gain only 50 points for every 4 games that you play. And the highest rank is 5,000 plus points, meaning using this strategy it would take you 400 games of losing 3 and winning 1 without any mess ups. And I wanted to do it faster, so I developed a statistical strategy with some intuition plays mixed in that would guarantee my victory and inevitably bring me to the highest rank in Liar's Bar. So let's get into it. So this strategy is actually pretty simple to use. I made a set of rules to follow depending on how many cards I have in my hand. If you have 4 playable cards in your hand, then it's almost a guaranteed round, with the opposite being true if you have 0 cards in your hand. That's the worst position to be in. So let's start with scenario 1. You get dealt 4 playable cards. This is the best scenario to be in, but don't freak out. Seeing this, you might want to throw down multiple cards, but that's the last thing you should do. If you want to guarantee the round, then you should play 1 card at a time. The reason this strategy is so good is because it forces someone else to make a play before you. Remember, you get 4 free safe turns, meaning someone else is going to make a play before you run out of cards. Out of all the games I've played, someone always makes a play before I run out of safe cards. There is one thing to note, however, the Devil's card. If someone plays this card and gets called on it, then everyone at the table loses that round and has to play roulette. But that rarely happens, so you're fine. Another thing to note are the turn positions, which is the turn sequence. Position A, B, C, and D. Position A is the person who goes first, and position D is the person that goes last. Position A is the weakest position, and position D is the strongest. Now that you've won that hand, let's move on to the next scenario. You get 3 table cards. This is the second best scenario. Again, you're going to play 1 true card at a time. If I'm in position A, B, or C, and I want to be a little more risky, then I start with a lie card. Then, just play one true card at a time after that. However, if I'm in position D, which I am in the video, then I stick to one true card at a time. With this strategy, you will win 95% of the rounds. Now that you've survived another round, let's move to the next scenario. You are dealt 2 table cards. This is where it starts to get a little trickier. You may have noticed that people usually won't call on the first turn. This is because they are too focused on their own hand and what they are going to play first. So you're going to use this to your advantage and start off with a lie. Now that you've discarded a lie card, you are left with 2 true ones. So you're going to play time again and play one true card at a time. Usually a play will have happened by then and you will survive the round. But keep an eye on the person before you to see what they are playing just in case. Because if it gets to your turn again, then you have 3 options. You can either play another lie card and hope you won't get called out, but that's a bad move. They will assume you're keeping a true card in your hand and call your bluff. What you should do is play both of your lie cards, because now you're out of cards, and if they don't call you, then you are safe the rest of the round. But if you don't think you can get away with that, then you can call a lie on the person before you. Remember how I said keep an eye on that person? Well, that's important. This strategy isn't 100% guaranteed. So when you're in a bind like this one, you have to use your intuition and decide whether or not to call or bluff. Now hopefully you survive that round. If so, then let's get into the next scenario. You were just dealt 1 true card. First, I just want to say rest in peace. That is a very unfortunate hand, but it doesn't mean you've lost. I have a couple of strategies I use when I'm dealt with this hand, and the strategy I choose all depends on how the people at my table play. Strategy 1 is just to call a line the first turn and hope you get lucky. But what I usually do is play a lie card fairly quick, and then when it reaches my turn again, I wait about 20 seconds, and then I play my truth card. If you have kept a consistent speed the whole game, then changing the speed during this hand makes it look like you're thinking hard about your choice. So the person after you is more likely to call you a liar, therefore giving you the win.
I think you're lying. I'm gonna play my last bullet on you. I am Indian.
Liar.
Ciao guys, it was fun. I just wanted to die from the beginning.
But I'll be honest, you probably didn't survive that hand. Luckily, there's a 5 out of 6 chance that you survived the roulette. So let's get into the last scenario. The worst scenario possible. You get dealt 0 true cards. You can either call on the first turn, or you can play 3 cards and then 2 cards. If all goes right, then in 2 turns, you are safe for that round. But, again, let's be honest, you're probably not going to survive this round.
1 queen.
Liar.
Now that we've covered all of that, let's talk about 1v1 situations. I mean, you have to 1v1 someone in order to win. Everything you just learned is now thrown out the window, because 1v1 situations have different rules.
Liar.
For 1v1 situations, you do not want to stick to the 1 card at a time rule. It's too predictable and people can force a 50-50 out of you. A trick I've found is that if you have 3 table cards, and your opponent plays first with 2 cards, it's unlikely they're faking the 2 while holding the 3 true cards, since you have 3 yourself. So, by playing 1 at a time in this situation, you can force them to end up calling you, and therefore winning. The most important thing to win 1v1s are mind games and reading your opponent. Another thing you can look for is how often they call you out on your first turn. If you've noticed that they don't call your first turn often, then you can start playing a lie card first. Other than that, it's really up to you reading your opponent.
What you get, bitch?
For example, the player before me was insulting everyone in the game.
You smelly fat American dog.
But during this turn, I noticed how he repeated a voice line from the game instead of his usual insults.
Oh my. Feeling lucky, darling.
Question is, you feel lucky, punk? Well, do ya?
So I called his bluff and won.
Feel
This just
lucky?
shows how important it is to pay attention to your opponents.
You fucking slut called me a liar.
Using this strategy, I was able to grind my way up to the highest rank in Liar's Bar. So I wish you luck on your journey, and hope you have a great day. Comment down below if this was helpful, and if you have any questions. I read and reply to everyone. Consider liking and subscribing as well. I post all kinds of videos, and I'm working towards getting monetized. I hope you have a great day.